We also have a large assorted vendor list with all sorts of independent contractors that would include painters, heating and cooling specialists, landscapers, electricians, and a lot more. As the managing broker, I'm responsible for the actions of our agents, assistants, office staff, and vendors. Our property management system will help you understand where you fit into all this activity. Definitions. Let's look at some definitions from an accounting standpoint. Security deposit. When a property manager rents a house to a tenant, the tenant will pay a security deposit. The security deposit is held by our company the entire time the tenant lives in a house. When the tenant moves out, the security deposit can be used to pay for any expenses left by the tenant. In this way, the deposit protects the owner of the rental property from financial damage. For example, the tenant is responsible for paying the water bill at the house. If they move out and leave an unpaid balance at the water company, then we can use a security deposit to pay that on behalf of the tenant. Other common uses of a security deposit would be final house cleanings, carpet cleaning, repairs to the house from damage by the tenant, and replacing missing keys or garage door openers. Those are common. Any unused security deposit and a detailed accounting of the money needs to be returned to the tenant within 60 days of their move out. For our company, the security deposit is usually rounded down from the rent to the nearest $100. So for example, if the rent is $13.95, then we would round the deposit down to $1,300. Our normal pet deposit is $100 per pet with a typical maximum of 2 pets. And remember, you can always double check information like this for any particular property by pulling out the paper file in the cabinet or by checking on our website at blueapplehouses.com. If a tenant application seems to have some increased risk, the property manager may negotiate with the tenant for them to pay a larger security deposit. We never take a smaller security deposit. Sometimes it may be agreed that the tenant can pay the deposit in installments. Very rarely, but for example, they may be allowed to pay half of the deposit when they lease the home and the other half 2 weeks later. Typically though, we do require that the tenant pays the deposit in full before they move in. All right, rent. Let's talk about rent. So each month, each tenant pays rent for the house they are living in. This rent is collected by our company and processed. Most tenants pay their rent in full with no problem. There just seems to always be a couple tenants that struggle each month, and no doubt you'll get to know who those names are. Property manager. So what exactly is a property manager? To keep things organized, one particular person from our company is assigned to each rental property as that designated property manager. This is also known as the listing agent because usually this is the person that originally listed the house to become part of our company. The listing agent or property manager gets paid a percentage of the rent that we collect each month from the tenant. The property manager handles all the details of each particular property they are assigned to. Any information or requests that come in for a particular house should be forwarded to that listing agent, property manager. Management fee. Let's talk about that management fee. Our company keeps 9.75% of the rent collected as payment for services rendered. This is known as the monthly management fee. For example, if a tenant pays rent of $13.95, Blue Apple would earn 9.75% out of $13.95, which would equal $132.53 per month. As described above, the property manager earns a portion of that fee each month. For example, if a property manager earns 70% of management fees collected, the property manager would earn 70% of $132, or $92 per month. Blue Apple, as the company, keeps the remaining portion, and that's income for the company. All right, let's talk about what a leasing fee is. Each time we place a new tenant in a house, we charge $599 to the owner. The person who rented the house, which is the renting agent, earns a portion of this fee. Blue Apple keeps the remaining portion as income for the company. All right, one more definition for you, a find tenant only property. So we sometimes find a tenant for a property, but then do not manage it as an ongoing basis. We call this a find tenant only, or FTO. We market the home, we do the showings, we locate and screen the tenant as normal. We then hand the property back to the owner and they take it from there. The owner would collect the rent directly, handle the repairs, etc. We charge $800 for this service.